tries to turn, he shoots, and that one squeezes in!
Opportunity for Charlotte off the set piece. It is going to be the man out of Poland. The shot, yes!
And it's gone in! It's an Olympico! Yoshiki pulls it back, the shot, and another goal!
And look who's coming on. Ryan Romero. Here's Romero. Hit the shot, kid.
Goal!
For the city, for the crown!
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Offsides Podcast, the unofficial official podcast of Charlotte Football Club. I am your host, Andres Robledo, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Pablo Robledo. Pablo, how's it kicking?
It's kicking.
You have a good Mother's Day?
Well, I'm not a mom, so no.
Well, I don't know what you identify as.
Yes.
But shout out to all the moms. Literally
Yeah.
couldn't be here without you guys.
I guess. There was that, Arnold Schwarzenegger in Twins.
I never saw
no.
that movie.
What? He was pregnant in one movie.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've only seen Commando
You're not old enough.
and Terminator. But an exciting week ahead. Let's jump straight into it. So Charlotte are on a bit of a win streak. We've won 5 out of the last 6 in all competitions, heating up in both the Open Cup and MLS. So it's a nice change of pace to the beginning of the season. What did we say, everyone? Just be patient. A win streak could pop up out of nowhere, and here it is. Looks like we're doing it, guys. We're finally doing it. We're winning games on the road, at home, against teams we shouldn't be beating, and we just look like a whole different team compared to the beginning of the season. So this past week we played Orlando, the defending Open Cup champs, in the U.S. Open Cup at the Matthews Sports Complex, and they pulled away a nice little 1-0 win. Pablo, I know you got to watch that game a bit more than I did. Why don't you kick us off on that recap?
So that was, it wasn't too action-packed. It ended up being just a 1-0 win for us. But I think a lot of people weren't thinking that Charlotte was going to be able to pull it off. I figured I had very high hopes. The team, I was going to say, mostly played what it seemed like defensively. But, they handled Orlando just fine. They took the chances that were given to them, and we played Orlando once earlier this season already and came out with a win. So that's why I kind of had very high hopes for them that they would just be able to figure it out again, and they did. So I was very happy with that 1-0 win that they had.
Yeah, and it was a nice goal by Yazwiak, who came back from injury, continues to show good form. And, man, he likes scoring in the Open Cup.
Yeah, it's like you said, he rubs those hands every time he sees an Open Cup match coming up.
The pop off. And now he's doing it in the MLS, too, so it's nice to see.
Yeah. It's very good to see him performing to his DP role, finally.
Yeah, absolutely.
A year and a half later.
Yeah. Yep. Some other interesting lineup changes for the Orlando match. So I think the two that were obvious were Derek Jones and Enzo Capetti being in the starting lineup just because they were both suspended for the Atlanta game. But I think a surprising one was Hamadi Diop getting the start. That's good to see. I think one thing people have been critical about Latanzio has been trusting some of the young guys, and he gave 20-year-old rookie a start in a knockout game. So that was good to see. Bender also back in the starting lineup. And the other guy I was surprised about was Moram and Hagart. Hagart, glad he got in and got some time. Moram, I was a little surprised just because of age, and I think he played almost the full 90 that Saturday before.
Just about.
And I knew he was going to be a big piece in the Atlanta game as well. I didn't know he was going to score the goals that he did, and we'll get to that. But I figured he was going to be involved, kind of like he was against New York City. So I was a bit surprised to see him get so much playing time. But super good lineup, and man, I mean, it makes me feel like they can definitely make a run at this thing and get some silverware. What do you think?
I mean, it's looking good so far. Our next opponent is Birmingham, I believe,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
which we've beat earlier in the preseason. Easily beat, I should add. So we should be able to move past that phase. I would say with minimal starter players. I think maybe, if it comes to one of those, like we had a Tuesday or a Wednesday game, which we got a Wednesday game coming up, but if it's we're like halfway through the season almost.
Yeah, and they're
if not there, so give those guys a break.
Yeah, just to add on to it's going to be a tough month. I mean, they got, they just played a midweek game, the Orlando game, then they went the weekend to play Atlanta United, midweek game against Orlando, weekend game against Atlanta. They play again this Wednesday against Chicago, Saturday against Nashville, and then 4 days later that's when they go play Birmingham Legion. So it's it's a tight schedule, and even after that, another 3 days later they play LA, and then another 4 days later they play Philly. So they are playing a lot of games.
Yeah, but that's part of it. That's what training is there for.
Yeah.
I want to say, I think for against Birmingham, you can definitely, not use so many of the starters.
Yeah, and if things get dicey, just throw them on with make some early subs and throw on the powerhouses and put the game away if need be.
Yeah. But I also agree with you in regards to, just speaking on the Orlando game. I'm surprised that I saw Maram on that left side. I thought maybe we're going to see Vargas. But the way he performed in that game and definitely the way he performed in Atlanta, I can see why he's like the main starter. Yes, he's up there in age, but like the composure the guy has when he has the ball and when he doesn't, like the effect that he has on when he has the ball and when he doesn't, it's truly just an understatement, like of the seniority that he or just how he understands the game. Yeah, exactly, the experience that he brings. So I'm not too critical on that right now. I was at first.
Yeah.
But I think like Vargas, that seems to be his side, could learn a lot from this guy.
Yeah, I agree.
When we see Vargas on the ball, like, yes, he makes plays and he's very aggressive, but you can't just be like we see with games, like just a one-man move, right? Like you got to have different weapons in your arsenal there. You got to know when to be aggressive and you got to know when to just hold up the play.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it just goes to show that, like, I think this team was just missing a lot of experience, because you look at the roster, and I mean, the only guy with significant MLS experience besides Maram is really awful, right?
Right.
There's a couple other guys who've been in the MLS before, like Brent Bronico came from Chicago, but I don't think he was
Jones.
Jones came from Houston, but both those guys I don't think were getting a lot of consistent playing time, or even have been even in the league that long. So they're still kind of like new and learning as well. Trying to think of who else, but I mean, pretty much everyone on the team is like new to the league or young, and it just goes to show, like, yeah, I mean, you do need some experience in that team, and Maram seems to be that guy, and I mean, so far it seems to be the difference maker.
Well, yeah, and we see it with when he plays with Capetti or when he plays with Serdarsky. It doesn't seem to matter like who's at the top there. He's just gonna find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very pleased with Maram, and also very happy that he's making an impact, like, just right away.
It seems to be a tradition for Charlotte FC and transfers that they bring in from the league. Last year we had Chinashiki coming in from Colorado and immediately making an impact. Now Moran's coming in from Real Salt Lake and also having an impact right away.
Yeah,
Nice little.
but we've seen it go the other way too, as far as brought in Jones, and he didn't really get a good start and role until maybe towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
And then obviously Bronico, he's been a starter from the go, but I wouldn't say he's been like a huge impact player. He's a solid defensive mid for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one gripe I have about Bronico, it would be in this Orlando game where he just seemed out of place and just like he wasn't really helping the play much. He wasn't running into space when we were on the offensive, and when we were on the defensive, he just seemed to be marking too far up instead of dropping back. But in this Atlanta game, which I watched him more just to see if I was maybe being too harsh on him or not. But on this Atlanta game, yeah, exactly, basically, just liking or disliking him for no reason. But on this Atlanta game, he played the opposite. He played further up. He helped out the attack a lot, and he's very, very aggressive. Which we knew the Atlanta game was going to be an aggressive game anyways.
Yeah.
They just seem to be that way. This is our third time playing him. No, fourth time?
Fourth time, yeah.
Yeah. And each time it's been just aggressive. But I like how active he was in that game versus the Orlando game. I was just like, I completely forgot he was out there at some points.
That's funny you mentioned that. SofaScore has him at a 6.3, which is the second lowest of all the players, including the Orlando players, and he had the lowest rating of all the Charlotte players. So
yeah, it's
definitely not a good game for him.
There was a couple of times where if you look at the not even on the highlights, but just when I was watching the game, there's a couple of times when Charlotte's trying to start to play, dribbling up, taking up space, and Bronico, he's not really making a run, and sometimes the runs he does take, he takes it into very covered space where he's got he's running into coverage instead of away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, where are you going? You're not making yourself as an option right now for somebody that wants to pass the ball to you.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've noticed about him this whole season compared towards the back half of last season when he kind of got moved further up the field and played more like a number 8 instead of a number 6. He seems to be a lot more conservative now, a lot more backward passing, not getting, as far forward as normal, things like that. So it's kind of
right.
I don't know what's changed, but I kind of expected him to be a bit more of an offensive piece this year, especially compared to some of the games towards the end of last season, where I thought he was kind of getting more involved further up the field, where he had a couple of chances. I mean, he scored against New York on the road, and thought he was going to kind of build off that. But this season, it just I don't know if it's instructions or if he is having some confidence issues or what, but he seems to be playing a lot more conservative this year. It's more so than I thought he would, and I think it's maybe holding his play back a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't think it's every game, because like I just said, when I watched him in the Atlanta game, I mean he was all over.
Yeah, he did play much better in the Atlanta game.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's special instructions that he's getting from Latanzio or just a defensive coach or somebody, as directing him on where to be or what space to cover. So it's just a little confusing on that because he kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's been as consistent as he was last year.
Right.
Still a solid player, but I think he's definitely lost his starting spot whenever Jones is available.
Yeah, I guess. Yes, so yeah, you're right. I would prefer him. I prefer Jones over Bronico anytime. To the point where I was even just gonna say Bronico had a chance in this Atlanta game to kind of be a little bit selfish and take a shot right outside the box, but decided to, pass it. And I think we kind of lost the momentum on that. But, sometimes you just got to be selfish and take that shot. I think he had a clear open shot and he decided not to. So I'm not sure if it's like something with confidence, which I don't think that's the case. I mean, he's very aggressive. So
Yeah, I mean, you can't rock a mullet.
but
and,
maybe he just
not have
doesn't trust his
confidence.
foot.
Yeah, that could be it. Who knows? Any other takeaways in the Atlanta game? I mean, like you said, it kind of Charlotte went there, got the job done with the one goal. I mean, once they had the goal, it seemed like we kind of just defended and shut Orlando down. I mean, the defense played very well. I don't recall any like close chances. I mean, it also helped that they went down a man, right?
Yeah. I mean, that definitely helped.
It was this game
I
that
mean,
they went down to 10, right? Or am I confusing that?
I think that Atlanta went down a man. I don't think Orlando did.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I want to say it seemed like just the formation or the tactics of both the Orlando game and the Atlanta game seemed to be more of like play defensively, kind of hold your ground, and like make a chance out of their mistakes.
I mean,
playing
shoot,
counterattack.
even in the New York game, we had less possession, and
Mm-hmm,
I mean, it's kind of where all the goals came from, were like counterattacks or just good defending at the midway line and building up from there. It's definitely been like a change in style compared to how the first, 10 games or so went. They're definitely playing a lot more direct.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out when we first scored that goal in Orlando. I couldn't remember if it was the first half or second half. But
It was in the second
I don't.
half.
It wasn't. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they changed their play style too much after that. It just seems like Charlotte was just kind of just waiting for an opportunity, just building on the counterattacks, and that was about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and Orlando also didn't seem like as threatening. We seem to have our box covered quite a bit. I don't recall Kalina having to do too much work in that game. There was a couple of close calls for sure. I think not too long after the second half started, Kalina had to clear a ball using his head outside the box. I was just like, that was risky. I think there was also a goal that was called back due to offsides. Could be wrong though, but I seem to remember that. Not sure, but
They got the job done, though. That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
yeah,
On to the next round.
yeah. Glad to see Jozwiak back out there. He came in and was a difference right away, which
Yeah.
it seems to be like his trend now.
Yeah, I mean, he's a noticeable difference whenever he's on the field. Even in the Atlanta game, right? Like, his pressure is very good. Comes back to help a lot. And, like, when he's on the ball and he's driving, I mean, he's very tenacious. And you got to, like, foul him to get it off of him. Like, he's improved a lot on just progressing the ball forward.
Yeah, and I mean the goal he had against Orlando was a hard-fought goal. Had to get past two defenders, I believe, and then just chip it over that goalie.
Yeah.
Oh, three defenders actually. I'm looking at the highlight there, and the goalie kind of like, slid in, and I would almost think that if that didn't go in, maybe they call it for a foul in the box. But then the Atlanta game, he's the one that drew the foul and got us that PK.
Mm-hmm.
Another hard-fought battle in the box where he's just in there scrapping it.
Yeah.
Just trying to make the best out of a tough situation.
And he almost had a second in that Orlando game. He steals the ball in the other
Yeah.
team's third and just drives
Yep,
it.
you're
Just gets
absolutely
stuck
right.
underneath him a little bit. I hate when that happens. Like, you just can't get it to pop out in front of you, and you hit the top half of the ball and it just goes nowhere. It's like, God, it just got stuck underneath me.
I'm puzzled as to why he went to the left instead of the right. I mean, it just like the right seemed wide open. And also, I think the other thing that really, really helped us was the Orlando forwards were just not dialed in. I mean,
They had a big whiff in the 70th
They had
minute.
a bunch of them. They had from outside the box going in. It was just like they were just going way over.
They had a real bad one in the second half, though, where Derek Jones gifted them the ball right in front of Galena.
That was
the
a
guy
scary
hit it
moment.
way over.
Yeah, that was a very. And I don't. That's okay. So that's like twice Jones has done that in almost back-to-back games.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the previous game he did that, and Byrne had to clear it out.
it just goes to show he's not a center back. I mean, need to.
I don't know what
he
was thinking. Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking on that. But I mean, I'm glad to see Swiderski and Yazvik up there, just being that dual threat.
Yeah. Let's jump into the Atlanta game. I think that's what everyone's excited about. It's in Atlanta. They, I think it's fair to say they spanked us earlier this season. It was 3-0 by the end of the first half. Charlotte were never in that game. And to have to go travel into Atlanta, a place we haven't seen success yet. And there were some things going our way, right? They'd lost, I think, the last 4. But even then, we were kind of wary about that with, is history going to repeat itself in the St. Louis, or who was it? Not St. Louis. The Real Salt Lake game where they had lost 4 in a row, and it was like, oh, okay, that should be a win then. Like, they just keep losing.
Right.
It's like, well, it's got to turn eventually, but not this time. This time we kept the trend going and honestly just totally outplayed Atlanta. The defense shut down their key guys. Almanda, he was not able to get anything going really, and Charlotte, made do with their few chances that they had. Just super efficient with the ball, and were able to get the win.
Yeah, well, and just like you said, the odds were against us going into just, I think statistically speaking, Atlanta has a very good home record.
Mm-hmm.
They're at I want to say, top 5 of the tables?
Yes, I think they're
now?
4th or 5th.
Yeah, so they're up there for a reason. They're a tough team for sure this season. They're in that losing streak, but like you said, eventually it's got to come to an end. You would think it would come to an end at a home game where they're very tough to beat. And then also, we didn't have 2 of our main guys. We're missing Capetti, we're missing Jones, and we're still weak on kind of the left back situation. I think I messaged you earlier, almost as soon as the game started, when I saw Byrne kind of get just outpaced. I was like, if we lose this game, it's going to be because of that left side. Like, he's going to cost us the game.
Yeah.
Where he got out dribbled a couple times and let some crosses go. So I think out of all the spots, our left side is still probably our weakest.
Yeah, to be fair to you, he did get a 6.2 on Sofa score, lowest on the Charlotte side. But also to Burns' defense a little bit, just to play devil's advocate. He is playing out of position. He plays more on
he's
that right
more of
side.
a right back.
Yeah. So it can be tough. He's probably playing on his weaker side. So
yeah, I would say if you put Lindsey on the left side, because Lindsey's playing on the right and Burns taking over that left side. But if you switch those roles, I would just think that Lindsey, just from inexperience, just being a young player that he is, and playing out of position, he probably gets burned a lot more.
Yeah.
Than Burn does.
It's hard to burn the burn.
Burn to burn.
But
let's also, I do like how he plays that left back, but he also goes up and above when he's holding up the play. He does the run on past him to make himself available.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't see Lindsey doing too much of it, but I think it's hard to outrun gains on that side.
Yeah.
or Yazviak.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I mean, they're pretty far. Both those guys get pretty far up the field.
Right.
I think that combo of like Yazviak, Westwood, and Lindsay on that right side, it's nice because like that's a good little like connection of passers that they have together. I mean, you
Yes.
saw it in the I think the New York game, and even in this game, I think Lindsay helped in the build up to the first goal. Ashley Westwood's the one that made the cross, but I think, or maybe it was the second goal, but Lindsay had a build up in one of those goals, so he's doing well there. The lineup, were you shocked by any of the lineup changes? I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, we had two guys suspended, two big pieces in Copetti and Jones. Were you kind of surprised at all at how Latanzio managed that, or was it pretty much what you were expecting?
Let me look at that lineup because I think it was pretty much what I was expecting. Copetti and Jones are out, so I'm thinking Swiderski and Bronico are going in. And then Yazviak came in on Orlando, scored, so he's 100%. I think I was. No, I mean that's about right. I would have. If anything, I would have said Gaines behind Yazviak, and then put Westwood in the center, and then move Bronico to the left side. But that's about it. And put Bender on the bench and bring him in as a sub. But I thought it was fine. Not really too many complaints on that.
Yeah, I thought Bender actually had a pretty good game. Proved he can be trusted, solid choice. Stepped up to the occasion. I don't think Gaines has the passing ability to play in the middle.
No, I'm not saying put Gaines in the middle. I'm saying put him on the right side.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. And Westwood in the middle.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a little bit out on the Gaines train for right now. Till I see some more improvement.
Going back to the Orlando game, Gaines had a pretty good game. For them, especially in the first half, he was very close to either setting Copetti up for a score or scoring himself in a couple of occasions. Like he was blasting, like just running past the guy that was marking him. That guy could not keep up with him.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I and then it's against Orlando, MLS team, so it's not like he's just playing a lower division team and looking good. Like he looks good against the MLS team. So I was happy with his performance, and I'm not too worried when I see him on going in for Yazviak or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's probably where he's more effective, is coming off the bench and using that speed against a tired defender. I think you definitely get more of an advantage there. What are your thoughts on Kalina over Mark so far?
Well, he had that one save against a close forward. Who was it that shot it?
Was it Arujo?
I think Arujo, or maybe I don't think it was Almada. I want to say they held him down pretty well.
Yeah, they shut him down very well.
But a good save. I thought the goal he let in was like, I mean, Atlanta, especially towards the end of the second half, came on very strong. They knew they had to do something. But it was like, he let that header in. I'm just like, man, they just did that same play on you like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that was the only like spot where I had a little bit of doubt on him, because he did come up a big save. I thought that was kind of the only it was really like the only save he had to make. I feel like everything else is pretty standard. And it was good to see him step up on that.
Yeah, he made a couple saves in traffic for like crosses and corners, things like that.
But I did feel like the corners, especially late in the second half, he looked a little like unathletic, a little kind of just watching the ball and out of it.
He seems stuck.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's like a back thing. Like, is he worried to?
No, I don't think it's that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that at all. I think it's just his reaction time maybe is going down a little bit, or it's just because when you're out looking in, it looks totally different. But when you're down there, like the pitch is a lot more crowded and the ball's traveling whole lot faster than you
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I will say this: I think that first save he made, which was maybe around the 15th minute. If Atlanta puts that in, I think that is absolutely just demoralizing for Charlotte, and I don't think we come away with the win that we do.
Yeah, I think it's a totally
I
different
think
game.
that save sets the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Good.
Yeah. It was good to see him step up on that, but again, I kind of feel like that's probably the only time he had to. I felt like the rest of the time the team just defended really well and didn't let Atlanta get into any dangerous spots. Especially like the first 10, 15 minutes, probably, you could say went Atlanta's way. But like you said, like once he made that big save, I think momentum just totally shifted. And then it helped that, we took that and got a goal of our own. And it was kind of nice because, like, Moram's the one that scored it, but like right before, he was kind of the reason Atlanta got that breakaway and had that shot on goal. So it was like nice little redemption for him. And
he had two. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I was gonna say he had two very just like lousy passes that just went right into the middle to absolutely nobody.
Yeah.
Where Atlanta like tried to counter it, and luckily it didn't go their way. But you're absolutely right. It was like, he made a mistake, but he didn't dwell on it and capitalized big time twice.
Yeah, again, it's that experience of just,
Mm-hmm.
keep playing.
Keep playing.
Um,
Man, when that first goal went in, though, I was just like looking for flags. I could not believe that we scored that early on Atlanta.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. I literally was just like, where's the offsides? Like something. And then they just took the ball and headed back. I was like, no way. It's like, no way.
Yeah, I did get to see that part live. I had to rewatch the game, so I didn't get to watch the game live. But I actually did get to see that goal, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like just like we're up, we're winning. Like let's go.
Right.
Like in a game we shouldn't, and then
And it was one time too. It was very composed. I mean, he didn't blast. He just put his foot out there, and there it goes. I couldn't believe it went in.
Yeah. The one thing I was going to say, I did want to give a big shout out to all the fans that traveled.
Yes.
I mean, it was noticeable on TV, and like from what I heard from like people that were there talking about it, like they totally like shut down the Atlanta fans. Even the announcer was talking about it, how like, man, it's a different vibe in here because of these Charlotte fans. Like when they were walking up to their seats, they were loud, and like it, kind of put like a different energy that was normal, that was normally in the stadium. And he said something like, it's like the bad kids in school, like walking down the hallway, banging on all the doors. And I was like, dang, so I'm sure it made Atlanta fans uncomfortable and the Atlanta players uncomfortable too. And
it's a walkout.
it's a walk off.
Oh, it's a walk-off.
No,
that's cool. We got to be a part of it next time.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it was like over 1,000 fans.
That is what I heard, and it looked like it on TV. It was a whole like corner section. And one thing I was gonna say too. Oh, and from the people that went, they were saying like that stadium got quiet. I think especially after the second goal.
Oh yeah,
it was real quiet from the Atlanta fans. So, great first half. Like, 1-0, and like you said, we talked about it while it was happening. You're like, man, they just need like one more to put this game away. And I mean, what a start to the second half, right? 5 minutes in, you get a PK, you get the other team gets a red card, and it's like, dude, this game is ours for the taking.
Yes, yeah. We scored that first goal in the first half, and we kind of just stayed the main course as far as like plan of action and how to handle Atlanta, which seemed to be, stay defensive, and just take advantage of the counters. And And then going into the second half, Atlanta came out strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think it was a shot on goal, but it was close. But we knew that was going to happen. Well, first of all, Charlotte came out of the half late, which I want to say the MLS is probably going to fine them or already did. But you could see like just the Atlanta players complaining and the coach, which Atlanta's another thing. I'm sidetracking here, but Atlanta's coach was wearing like a full-on trench coat in that stadium.
The air-conditioned stadium.
Yeah,
I've been in that stadium. It's nice. It's nice and cool. Yeah, it's like being in a mall. Like
would definitely look like a player out of Yu-Gi-Oh or something. But anyways, yeah. So they were complaining about Charlotte coming out late, and then I don't know. Do you think that was part of like psychological warfare there? Like,
I don't know.
I would almost think so.
Maybe. I mean, big props to Latanzio. He's like, I'll eat the fine.
Sure.
To offset them, but I was gonna say, I know you haven't been in that stadium before, right?
No, I have not.
It's weird because like it's indoors, so it feels like you're like inside a really nice mall, and then all of a sudden there's just like this big soccer field there, and you're like, what? And then like it's almost like a coliseum kind of feeling. Like it's just very, at least to me, maybe other people disagree and they feel like it's like any other stadium, but it's just such a different, for me it was such a different feeling seeing a sports event there compared to like Bank of America Stadium. It's a little weird. It's just like all indoors, and it just, I don't know, again, it just feels like you're in a mall and then you're just like watching a soccer game there. I don't know, it's odd.
Yeah. Well, I hope the Charlotte fans enjoyed the cheap hot dogs and drinks.
Dude, I couldn't believe some of the deals people were talking about. Some guy got like 2 beers and a pizza for $11. I was like, you barely get a bucket of popcorn at Bank of America for that.
No way.
Yeah. Super cheap there.
Expired hot dogs.
Hey, they still taste the same.
Trying to offload that Bud Light.
Yeah.
50 cents a can right now.
That's wild.
Nobody's buying that. Anyways, so yeah, Atlanta comes out, but then we get that PK like you mentioned, and just,
and they go a man down. I think that's a big thing too.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a double blow for those guys, which I'm all for it. I mean, if the ref's going to suck, at least, it's going to go our way.
Yeah, the ref was like double barrel shotgun to the face, Atlanta. Damn, PK.
But
bam,
I mean,
red card.
It's more like a technicality, though, at that point, right? I mean, he's in the box, he gets fouled, and he's not playing the ball.
I don't know.
So it's like,
I agree with the red card because, like, why are you pulling a jersey in the middle of the
exactly,
box?
yeah.
Like, that's just so sloppy.
Well, there's always jersey pulling. It just doesn't always get called.
Yeah, but to do it in the middle of the
saw,
box, like, I don't know.
Jozwiak did it to Almada earlier in the game. Like, just straight up just grabbed his jersey and pulled him, and he got away with just a talking to.
Yeah, but when you're in the box, like, you can't do anything when you're in the box.
No, yeah.
You got to just play it so smart.
True. Yeah, true.
But then, like, to really, bury the team, I think it was, 2-3 minutes later, Lindsay finds Jozwiak, and Jozwiak plays a really nice ball across all of the Atlanta defenders. And Moram just times it perfectly and just taps it in. Just, again, first time, control, just finds the corner of the net. And bam, 3-0 within 10 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, that was nuts. I was going crazy.
Were you nervous at all? Like, or were you like, okay, they won this game, it's over?
No, yeah. After that third goal, I was like, they're good.
Yeah,
they're good.
I felt like that too. I was like, it's over, but it was kind of funny because before you and I have said like, you got so like, there's still a lot of time left, right? They had 40 more minutes if you think about it, but it never felt like they were going to lose that game.
No, not the way that they were playing. And just like Atlanta seemed to lose possession a lot. Like they seem to, like our Charlotte guys seem to intercept passes a lot more than I've seen in previous games.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the third goal kind of dropped, you could see kind of some of the time wasting tactics that started going into play. Kalina holding the ball, or us taking our time to get out of the back.
Always untied for some reason.
Yeah,
like every corner kick, you had to tie his shoe.
Right, yeah, so you got to pull up the socks, tie your shoes.
I was like, I'm pretty sure those cleats are laceless. I think those are slip-ons. I don't know where you got shoelaces from.
He's out there playing in Crocs for all we know. Studded Crocs.
And shoot, I mean, Brandon Cambridge, came on and almost had a fourth. And real nice pass.
Yes. Oh, so that's nuts. How many defenders did he go past?
I think like all four.
Yeah, like it was just like right, like
just out of a nothing ball, like just came out of nowhere.
Like he's playing like golf out there, just putting it in there.
Yeah,
it was nice. Too bad Cambridge wasn't able to capitalize on it, but that was just another example of like we just kept on the attack, and it wasn't really a full-on attack. It was just like Atlanta kept losing possession or making bad passes, and we intercepted and was like, all right, well, here we go. I mean, they're going to give us this space and this opportunity, so we're going to take it.
Yeah.
I would have, my ideal outcome for this match would have been a 4-0 win at Atlanta.
Just a one-up them.
Yeah, just to one-up them. Exactly. But I'll take that win anytime because, I think my best prediction was like a tie or something like that.
That's exactly. I was like, man, if we could get a tie,
like if we tie, we win.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because Atlanta has been looking so strong this year, their home record is, it's one of the best so far in the league, and we just went up there and just showed them what you can't mess with Charlotte. I was very happy with this outcome.
Yeah.
If anything else, this is probably going to be my favorite game of the whole season.
I mean, that's two big like season wins back to back. Like the New York game, again, like it's not expecting much from that, and they win. And then to go on the road and beat Atlanta like that, like just big statement win. It got to be a huge confidence boost for the team, and hopefully it gets some fans off of Latanzio's back.
Spot him another week.
Yeah. I think the big takeaway besides the win was the Hamadi Diop story. So he comes in on the 71st minute for Sobozinski, and then 15 minutes later he's taken off for Harrison Awful. Now, I didn't get to rewatch the game with kind of that in mind, and really kind of track down how he played those 15 minutes. But, I mean, SofaScore has him at a 6.6. I'm actually surprised they gave him a rating with only playing such little time. But was there anything you saw there that you thought could have led to that, or what did you think of the change?
No, I mean, like I said earlier, our left side seems to be the weakest, and that's what they kind of kept attacking. One of their Atlanta subs that came in, he seemed to be like one of the main key guys to kind of turn that game around for them.
Yeah, Giacomakis,
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's almost like as soon as he came on, Atlanta was playing a different game. And I don't want to say they came close, but they had more chances than they had the whole game before.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was just to put somebody more experience. I believe you said that somewhere out there's a video of Latanzio just briefly commenting on he wants his players to have some sort of the right attitude or some sort of attitude going out there, and maybe Diop didn't have it, but I mean, I don't know. You could tell he was
pissed.
He was pissed. Yeah, he was like, even the commentators were like, "What happened? Like, what's going on?" And he was like, and they even mentioned he's like Latanzio is tried to talk to him when he was coming off, and Diop just walked past him.
Yeah. I think they said he shouted at him at the bench, like.
Right. Yeah.
Gave him a nice little stern talking to. I
don't see how that could go.
Man. He's gonna get loaned out and then just dropped. He's gonna get the Nuno Santos treatment.
Yeah, I was
watch
gonna
out.
say I don't know how those stern talkings from Latanzio could. I could barely understand him when he's calm. I can't see how they'd be like, dude, what did he say to him? Like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
He just started talking Italian.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, the only other thing I remember, I watched the video yesterday, and the only thing I remembered besides like the attitude thing was he said he saw something that he felt was gonna, like, I think, expose them, or he saw something that he didn't like, and then they ended up scoring right after anyways. And he had mentioned that too. He was, I saw something that I thought was, gonna harm us, and then it ended up harming us anyway. That was kind of interesting that he, says that, but I don't know. Hopefully, the young guy is able to calm down and just improve from it. And interesting from Latanzio to do that, though. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, Latanzio gonna do Latanzio things, right?
Yeah. At least there's always a story to talk about. Any other takeaways from this game?
I think they're towards. We briefly talked about it, but the header that went in, it was like the post saved us on one.
Yeah.
And then they do the exact same thing and score off of it. I think that was probably our weakest moment there.
Yeah, that was the
I mean,
only.
we looked strong the whole time.
And it didn't look like an unsavable header or anything like that. So that was. But again, I mean, who knows what's going on? Alina being back in the lineup seems to be working. So, who am I to judge him or ask for Marks to be put back in? But
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, with Marks, I don't know, you're usually getting at least 2 goals in.
Yeah.
Not to say that Kalina has, but, I mean, Kalina has let a goal in each game so far with the exception of Orlando.
Yeah.
But it was like Orlando was just shooting way over the like.
Yeah, they didn't bring their
I mean, it wasn't
bits.
even windy in Charlotte, and those guys were just aiming for the moon.
It's too much popcorn.
It's a different elevation than Florida.
Yeah. The time zones. Mess up the sleep schedule.
They're not used to playing in the Eastern Mountain Time.
Yeah. That kind of brings us to the league table.
Right.
Man, it's an interesting league table, right?
So that's probably like the one thing that hurt after this win. It's like, yes, we beat him. 3 points. Where are we on the tables? Right where we were before.
Yeah, that's hard to believe, but yeah. So first,
but there's hope.
Yeah, there is. So the interesting thing is, like, first through fifth, they're all on different sets, but first and second are pretty far ahead of everyone at 24 points. Nashville sitting at 19, Atlanta at 18, and then Philadelphia at 17. And then 6th through 12th are at 15 points. So, I mean, if you beat one of those top 5 teams, you're going to catapult quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then even, Chicago's at 14, and then New York and Toronto are at 12. So it's, I mean, every game is going to matter. Yeah, they have. It's interesting. I wonder what's caused that. But
us, Charlotte did that. We did that.
It's I mean, just, man, every game is just like must win right now because
exactly
you just can't afford to drop points. I mean, the 2 games we got coming up this week, Chicago and Nashville. I mean, those are huge points because those are basically 6-point games, really, because you're going to steal 3 away from Nashville and Chicago and move up 3 yourself. So,
yeah, you could essentially be, top 4 by the end of Saturday.
Yeah,
if everything, kind of just goes your way.
Yeah.
But especially since we got Nashville, because they're, holding number 3 just barely, but they're up there. But yeah, you could end up by the end of Saturday in, top 5, top 4, top 5 somewhere, which is
wild compared to where we thought we were going to be.
But last season, I think the highest we reached was 5th.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's doable.
Definitely. Yeah. It's just there's no room for error right now. If anyone in our
No.
conference wins, we have to win that same weekend.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So a lot of pressure, but they're on a streak, man. Like I said, 5 of the last 6 they've won.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I want to say we can beat Chicago just because we seem pretty even par as far as like numbers.
Yeah.
It's a home game, so there's a little bit of an advantage there. I would expect a bigger turnout now that we're in a winning streak as far as fans.
Yeah.
But you never know.
The one
Chicago
positive
just
is-
beat St. Louis last week, and St.
Yeah.
Louis has been one of the better teams in the Western Conference. They're sitting right now at 3rd.
Yeah. The one thing is, we have outscored Chicago. We've got 16 goals total to their 14, but we have allowed a lot more goals than everyone. So that defense is going to need to continue to be sharp if we want to get things done. Chicago did beat us at home last year, so they got that going for them. We were able to get the revenge up in Chicago. So, but hopefully, we can, steal this one back and get 3 points at home, keep the momentum going. The other nice little thing I thought about the Atlanta game that I thought was funny was last year, they beat us at home and then we beat them at home. And this year, they beat us at home and we beat them at home or away, so we won both the road games. So it's kind of interesting how that's worked out. And 2-2 against them, 2 wins, 2 losses. So
Yeah.
need to start putting some more games against them to build up that rivalry.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, we're winning away games.
Yes.
Which is
Massive.
yeah, it's very good. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we keep that streak up, either just tie or win, but
Yeah.
no losses.
And then at home, it's like, gotta win. Gotta win.
Yeah, you gotta win these home games.
So speaking of which, for the Chicago game, you got a score prediction for us?
Chicago, I'd like us to come out with a 2-0.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But the way we've been trending, we've been putting 3 on teams so far, with the exception of Orlando. It was 3-2 for New York.
Yep.
And 3-1 for Atlanta.
Yeah, starting to score some more goals.
I want to see a 3-0. I'll change it. 3-0. Or maybe 2-0 Chicago and 3-0 Nashville.
That would be nice.
That'd be
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. I think Nashville's definitely going to be the tougher of the games.
Yeah. But we beat them last year, didn't we?
We did. I think that game last year was like 4-2.
Yeah, Nashville,
But
and so that's another thing.
They're looking nice this year.
Yeah, they are. That Miss Witherspoon's is not messing around.
Yeah.
Cracking that whip on them boys. But another thing I was going to say was, so Nashville's considered another one of our quote-unquote rivals, but they don't feel like one of our rivals.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, it doesn't feel that way. It feels more just like a conference rival, not really. I guess because there's just also the Atlanta one. There's a lot of history there from NFL as well. That has kind of spilled over. There's not really that here in the national one. There's no one really cares about the Tennessee Titans.
Nobody cares about the Titans in general.
The only Titans I care about were coached by Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington. Best actor ever.
One thing I did want to ask you about. So we saw no Copetti, and the team wins 3-1, sets up a lot of early goals. Do you think that's just coincidence, or because there's a couple of people chirping about that online of like, see, we're better without Copetti. What do you think of that?
I mean, we got 3 goals with Copetti.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts too.
Yeah.
I don't really buy into it, but
no, I'm not. I wouldn't say it's because we don't have Copetti. I mean, Copetti's just starting to get back in form. He scored against. No, he didn't score against Orlando. What am I thinking?
But he scored against New York.
He scored against New York twice.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was a very open target in Orlando who just couldn't really close.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to have both Swiderski and Capetti up there and
Yeah.
Yazviak. I mean, those guys are... And then you got Moran. Like,
That's what I
you
was
might
going
as well
to...
put them all out there.
That's what I was going to say. I think the big difference is actually Moran. And I think maybe he's
Yeah.
getting... I think some fans are kind of underplaying that. It's more of like he has come in and, you know, he bagged the 2 goals, but even in New York, he, like, helped set up goals. So he's, like, done both. And I think that's been, like, the big key difference so far on the offensive side is, like, his ability to do both things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think just the type of experience that he brings, it seems like the team has really turned around since he came on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they really turned things around after that DC game. I think that, like, really, like, hurt. Because I thought it was kind of
I mean, I thought
after
DC
that.
was going to be a win for us. And
it looked like
yeah,
the
like-
easiest game on the schedule for, you know, at that time.
absolutely.
I mean, they still got a tough schedule, but I feel a lot more confident in it going forward. I think before the New York game, I think a lot of people thought as Nashville was going to be the easiest game of this month, but now, I mean, I think a lot of fans are underrating Nashville, but I feel a lot more confident about us beating them in Chicago than I was, you know, 2-3 weeks ago.
Because that's another team that's also kind of like on the up and up is DC a little bit. We both predicted DC would be a win for us just because they're not quite as high on the tables.
They don't really have that many impressive stats either.
Exactly, but you know they're holding their own up there, and like you said, you know some of the teams that I thought were going to be at the top of the tables this season are towards the bottom or at the very bottom. For example, New York Red Bulls and Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto, they had those 2 amazing signings or DP signings last season that like proved to be just real difference makers out there. And New York's always been kind of a strong team, and they're both 14th and 15th. Surprising.
Yeah,
and
that
then
is surprising.
you know, FC Cincinnati, they're number 2. I didn't think they were going to be that high at all this year.
Same with New England. They were kind of like mid-table teams last year, and now
Right,
they're leading
yeah.
the conference.
Philadelphia was sitting at number 1 or 2 comfortably last year.
Like all
And now
season
they're
long.
all season long. So
I think they already have more losses this season than they did last season. I could be wrong on that, but
Probably.
it felt like they just did not lose
they had
last season.
and I think we looked at those numbers last season. They had a lot of ties that
Yeah.
really helped them, and that's why
Yep.
we like emphasize those away game ties at least. Like
Yeah.
you know, you can't. That's it helps out in the end.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Any final thoughts for the upcoming matches?
No, I'm just still trying to see if there's going to be any developing news on Diop or... I mean, they're probably not going to turn it into a thing, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
give me the tea.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it'd be
wanna
sick
know.
if he did some kind of Instagram post. It'd be awesome. Not good for his career, but God, I love the drama.
No guns on Instagram, please.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, yeah. Those NBA players are wilding out. Well, one specifically. Yeah. All right, that's going to wrap up this episode. You know, we're trying to do it, keep it under an hour. I think we did a pretty good job there covering the 2 games. It's going to be a busy week for Charlotte, busy 2 weeks, really. This month is crazy for the team. Hopefully they're able to get through it with everyone healthy, picking up some wins and moving up that tight leaderboard. But that's going to be it for us until next week when we'll cover the Chicago and the Nashville game all in one episode. And we'll watch out for us on Wednesday and Saturday during the game. We'll be live tweeting and Instagram at offsides_CLTFC. Share this episode and the podcast with any of your friends that you think might enjoy it. That helps us grow a lot. And if you got the time, leave a nice little review. That also helps us on the podcast platforms. Algorithms helps new people find us. And then same with YouTube. If you want to subscribe, like, and comment, that also helps us there. But other than that, that is everything from me. We will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, wow, wow. You got to love that.